Welcome back to Walk Your Talk with Christ, where we walk the walk and we talk the talk. I came on here, y'all, and it's very late. It's like 1 something in the morning right now. But I came on here to share a word that God had given me and a dream that God gave me about 4 days ago now. It is a word of encouragement for those who are on the verge of their breakthrough. But it's also a call to duty where God is saying that there's something that he needs each and every one of us to do. And so I wanted to share that word with everyone on today. And I'm not going to be here long because I'm tired. But anyways, what God showed me was, so the other night I had a dream, and in that dream I was in a birthing room, and in that birthing room there were women that were in all stages of birth. There was one woman in there in particular who was getting a headdress prepared for the coming of her child. And I don't know if any of you know that in dreams, there's just things that you have that's a knowing that God gives you, right? You don't necessarily have to watch it happen or take place, but God will let you know that that's what's going on. So she was just preparing something that was beautifully decorated for the preparation of her child. And then there was another woman that was in a birthing pool, and she was going through the stages of pushing the child out. And how I could tell that was because she was obviously pushing in the water, but the water started turning red, and I knew that that was her her obviously her cervix had been dilated to the point where now she was able to push the baby out. And as she was pushing, she went and got the baby from out of the water and kind of hugged the baby to her chest. And then immediately I got in the water. And when I got in the water, I felt the need to push. And in the dream, I got scared because I was like, oh, I just seen the pains that she went through. I don't want to go through those same pains. But I had absolutely no choice. Once I walked into the water, that was it. Like, it was time to go. And I got that, and for this is for any of the mothers that obviously you went through the process when you are feeling that urge to just push your hardest, and it's not something that you're trying to do. It's just something that naturally happens, right? And so that's where I was in that birthing pool. And then the dream ended. And so as I got up and I woke up, God was speaking to me, and he said that it is time for us to push out the promise. It's time for us to push out the promise. So then as I got up and I started doing some research, God had me look up the 3 different phases of the birthing process. And the first phase of the birthing process is the contractions. The second phase of the birthing process is your cervix being dilated. And then the third phase is basically you pushing the child out. And God was showing me that all of us are at different phases, but we still are in the run of birthing out the promise. So although all of us are in different phases, God is saying that we are in the end stages of birthing out the promise right now. And God took me back to a dream that I had a few months ago. And in that dream, I was pregnant, and my sister-in-law actually was also pregnant, and she was waiting, and I was getting on the hospital bed. And at that time, I didn't feel like any contractions or labor pains or anything like that. But I knew that those were the next steps to come because it was time for me to have the baby. And God, when he took me back to that dream, he let me know that at that point in time, that's where I was in terms of the birthing process of the promise. I was pregnant and I was on the hospital table, the hospital bed, and that I was in preparation for the actual birth. And so when I was looking up some information on the birthing process, that actually is the longest part of the birthing process, which is the contractions. The contractions are the longest part because you can get what's called Braxton Hicks, right? And they're basically false alarms. It's your body's letting you know that it's getting in preparation for the baby to come, but it's not anything that you take serious, or it's not an indicator at that time that the baby is going to come. But that's the longest process. So that's, God was saying that's why he was showing me that when I was getting on the hospital table, but I was pregnant, I was in preparation at that time. But this point in time in a lot of our lives right now, that although our circumstances haven't changed, that the birthing is about to happen. So then God said, okay, he had me pay attention to us being in the water, and it's called a water immersion birth. A water immersion birth. So once we were in the water and I felt that need to push, he said, I want you to pay attention to the time that you would have birth if you were on a hospital table. Then pay attention to the time of a water birth, the amount of time it takes to push the baby out. So when you are having a baby the typical way of being on the hospital table, the average time from going into labor, having contractions, and then pushing the baby out can take anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. Now, this is the average time, y'all. There's some people that, they do it quicker than others, but the average time is anywhere between 12 to 24 hours. But a water immersion birth is anywhere between 30 minutes and 6 hours. And so what God was saying in that is that you are about to basically take off, that we are what he would consider the water immersion births, where it's not going to take 12 to 24 hours. It's going to take anywhere from 30 minutes to 6 hours. And of course, we're not talking about the specific time, but you have to hear in the spirit where God is saying it's about to happen quickly. Your promise is about to be birthed quickly. Quickly. It's not gonna, because I know, y'all, we hear these words all the time. God's about to do this. God's about to do that. You about to take off. It's about to happen. 3, 2, 1. Like all of these things, we hear these words, and those words are valid. But God is letting us know that this is the time period, that the promise is about to be birthed quickly, swiftly, rapidly, and he wants you to be prepared. It's time to push. Don't give up. Don't think that, I know that sometimes you may be weary. You may be asking God, well, where is it, Father? You told me that, there was no more delays. You told me this, you told me that. And all of those things were true. But God is saying that at this time, he's saying that it is time to birth your promise. So that was a dream that God had given me. So then probably a day or two after that, now I told y'all that God had me go to Ezekiel 37. And I went there on December 5th is when I read it, and I documented it in my Bible. And I read it and I was like, oh, okay, Lord, the valley of dry bones. We've all heard of that. I'm like, okay, Father, and I have written in my Bible that God said to speak over your dry bones so that he can bring you into your own land. So then I went on my For You page, and this one woman was saying that God is about to do a divine reversal in your life. And it's going to take, 8 days. And I'm like, that's interesting. And as I look in her post, I see Ezekiel 37. So I'm like, all right, this is the second time I seen Ezekiel. All right, I saved the video and I went back on looking at hair and all these other things, right? Then I come across another video that's on my For You page. This is not something that I looked up. And there was a guy on there who was saying that it is time for you to speak boldly what God has told you. And then he said, just like in Ezekiel 37, 1 through 14, where he spoke to the valley of the dry bones and he said to live. So I'm like, okay, God, you got my attention. You want me to go back to Ezekiel 37. And I'm going to read it real quick. I know it's late, but I'm going to read it and y'all listen, right? So it's Ezekiel 37, 1 through 14. It said, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and he brought me out by the Spirit of the Lord and set me in the middle of a valley. It was full of bones. He led me back and forth among them, and I saw a great many bones on the floor of the valley, bones that were very dry. He asked me, Son of man, can these bones live? I said, O sovereign Lord, you alone know. Then he said to me, prophesy to these bones and say to them, dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says to these bones. I will make breath into you, and you will come to life. I will attach tendons to you and make flesh come upon you and cover you with skin. I will put breath in you, and you will come to life. Then you will know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I was prophesying, there was a noise, a rattling sound, and the bones came together, bone to bone. I looked, and tendons and flesh appeared on them, and skin covered them, but there was no breath in them. Then he said to me, prophesy to the breath, prophesy, son of man, and say to it, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe into these slain that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath entered them. They came to life and stood up on their feet, a vast army. Then he said to me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. They say, our bones are dried up and our hope is gone. We are cut off. Therefore prophesy and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. O my people, I am going to open your graves and bring you up from them. I will bring you back to the land of Israel. Then you, my people, will know that I am the Lord. When I open your graves and bring you up from them, I will put my spirit in you, and you will live, and I will settle you in your own land. Then you will know that I, the Lord, have spoken, and I have done it, declares the Lord. And so what God is saying, speak to your promise. Speak to your valley of dry bones. There are things that God has taken in our lives and has yet to be restored, but we know what God has promised us. God is saying, speak to your valley of dry bones. And so I asked God, and I said, well, Lord, what is my valley of dry bones? And God said, anything that you felt like was supposed to be prospering by now, but it isn't. And so there's a lot of things that are in our lives that God dried up on purpose. He dried those things up because he wanted to show us, he wanted to teach us something about our reliance on him, about our faith in him, building our faith stronger, our confidence in him, our hope in him. He wanted to develop our character. He was pruning us of things that was of no benefit to us, right? Relationships, jobs, material possessions, whatever it was that God pruned and took away, right? But God is saying that speak to the promise. Whatever God has promised you, he's saying, speak to it. It looks dry right now, but speak to it so that he may breathe and bring it life. And then he kept saying, I kept seeing the same sentence over and over. It says that I will make breath into you and you will come to life. And that is verse 5. And then in verse 6, he said, I will put breath in you and you will come to life. And so God is saying that speak to your valley of dry bones. And what he gave me was the analogy of, and he put the two together, where he said that when a woman is pregnant and she is in the process of pushing out that baby, there is always someone there coaching her, speaking her through it, whether it's the doctor, whether it's the nurse, or whether it's her spouse or a relative, but there is always somebody there on the other side of that, speaking to her, telling her, push harder, keep going, telling her to hold on, take a rest for a minute, take a breather, or instructing her on how to push. And God is saying that he wants us to speak to our valley of dry bones, because our valley of dry bones, it is coming out. It's the baby. Our promise is the baby, but it's also our dry bones right now because it hasn't manifested yet. Just like a baby was in the mother's womb, but the baby is literally being pushed out. And God is saying your promise is being pushed out, but I need you to speak to it. I need you to speak to it. Coach that thing through. Make sure that that baby has a safe landing, because your words have power. My anointing is in your mouth. Speak the words that I have said over you. Speak to that promise. Speak what I have told you to speak. And so God is saying that right now. Speak to your valley of dry bones. Whether it's a marriage, whether it's a child, it's your finances, it's your business, it's your health, whatever it is that you know that God has promised you or is supposed to be prospering, God is saying speak to it. Make sure that thing has a safe landing. Coach that thing through, because he's saying that he has prepared the way. He has already prepared the way for it, but he's saying speak to it and guide it through so that it can get to where it needs to get to. And it's similar to a child, that a doctor needs to speak to you to tell you when to push, because if you push too hard, then that baby's heart rate can go up. You push too hard, then you may be, you can tear yourself up down there. Not to be graphic, but we all know how babies get here. And so I wanted to encourage you today. Don't let the enemy silence you. Don't let the enemy tell you that this promise is not happening, that because you haven't seen it, that God is not a man of his word, that you're about to give up. God is saying that you in that last part, you in the end stage of the birthing process. God said this not 12 to 24 hours. This is 30 minutes to 6 hours, meaning that God is saying you are right there. You are right there. This is the end stage. This is the pushing stage. You done already went through the preparation stage. You went through the 9 months already. You went through the morning sicknesses. You went through the cravings. You went through all of that. The body changes. But God's saying you are about to see that bundle of joy. You're about to see that promise. And he's saying, speak to your valley of dry bones. Don't say what you see. Say what God has told you that he's going to do for you. Speak life over it. Don't allow that thing to die because you're tired, because you want to give up, because you've grown weary, because it's taken so long. God's saying, speak to it. Speak to it and it shall live. Speak to it and he will breathe in it. But he's saying, speak. Open up your mouth and speak what thus saith the Lord. Don't say what you see. Say what God has promised you. Sorry, y'all, my voice is dry. But I'm telling you that that's what God is saying. He's saying, speak to the promise. It is here. Guide it. Coach it. Make sure that it has a safe landing. So do all that you can do to stand. Do all that you can do to stand, because we know that life and death is in the power of the tongue. And God is wanting each and every one of us to speak to the promise. It is on its way, not spiritually. It's on its way naturally. It already happened in the spirit. But it's about to manifest naturally for those who already went through their wilderness season. And you sense a shift in the spirit. You sense that there is a newness, a freshness in the spirit. But God is saying that you got to guide that thing to its manifestation. Through your mouth, you got to speak it. And so I'm just here to encourage you all. Speak to it. It's here. Speak to it. You are giving birth. Be the doctor that's telling the woman when to breathe, when to hold up on the pushing, how to guide that baby here safely to make sure that that baby doesn't incur any other damages than it should. God is saying, speak to that baby, speak to that promise. So I'm just here to tell y'all, don't give up. Don't give up. The enemy wants you to give up at the last moment. Don't give up. Keep running. You are almost over the finish line. You're almost there. So y'all, that's all I have on tonight, or this morning actually, because again, it's 1 something. That is all I have. Don't give up. Don't give up. Speak to that promise. Make sure that it has a safe landing, because it's worth everything. It's worth all the tears, the sadness, the crying, the pleading with God, the pruning, the developing, the growing, the maturing. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. God is saying it's here. It's here. It's here, and it's going to happen fast. We're not talking about the time where everybody was saying it's going to happen, and that was a year ago. I'm serious. It's going to happen fast. Oh, thank you, Holy Spirit. Let me not go over that point. God was saying that the water immersion birth, he said that that is symbolism for a baptism. And what is a baptism? A baptism is an outward expression of your loyalty, your commitment, and you being reborn, right, from the natural to the spirit. It's a rebirth. It is a rebirth. So you going from a sinner to being righteous. That's salvation. But it's just a natural, how can I say it? It's an outward action just showing that you are being reborn. You are being rebirthed into the spirit. And that's the same thing that that God was showing me in the dream, is that this promise is being born. This promise is going from the spirit realm to the natural, meaning that it's already happened in the spirit, right? We already got the victory. The promise was already set way back when. God already knew that this is what he was going to give to us, but we're about to watch the natural manifestation of something that has already happened in the spirit. That's how he was symbolizing it to me, is that it's basically a rebirth. It is a rebirth of something that happened in the spirit realm, and now it's about to happen in the natural. Sorry, y'all. I don't know what's... Anyways, that's all I have for y'all. Please be encouraged. Seek God on this, if this is your word. But it's for many of us. It's for many of us. Speak to your promise and watch it manifest. All right, I'll talk to y'all later.